Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Mohammed. I live in Alberta, Canada. My first contact and meeting with Brother Mohammed Shaikh and how that happened, I met my cousin in a family gathering in Sharjah. And there he was discussing Quran with his family members. I don't exactly remember, but he was discussing Quran. And then I sat down and he asked me a question if I have read the translation of Quran, and to which I responded yes. My cousin, when I told him I read Quran, he showed me a verse from the Quran. And actually that verse was from Surah Qamar 54 and verse 17. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَحَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And we have made Quran easy to remember, to read and remember. Is there any who would receive admonition? And then he said that this verse is repeated 4 times in the same surah, which was pretty neat to see. I didn't know that, or didn't see the verse that way. Then he started showing me another verse, and he showed me Surah 17 verse 89, and then he went to another topic, the topic of Al-Kitab, and he read few ayats from the topic of Al-Kitab, where he showed in Surah Baqarah 2 verse 213, in which there are the messengers is in plural and the book is in singular. كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله النبيين ومبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق. And I was looking, and he pointed out, see, look in this verse, the messenger is in plural and the kitab is in singular. So there was only one book, not many books. This was a very, very outstanding and verse which I couldn't deny because it was there, and I agreed 100% and I believed in it. And then he continued, and I believe he discussed probably around 4 or 5 topics at that time from Al-Quran, and he kept going, and this continued for over a month or few months, I don't exactly remember. And to me, he was portraying that all of this is his study, it is his research, it is his understanding of the Quran. And I was impressed with him at that time. And again then, what happened was, few months later, he gave me the video cassette of Brother Shaikh on different topics. And the strange thing, what he did was, when he gave me those lectures, soon after that he started backbiting about Brother Sheikh's personality. He would, backbite about him. And when I started watching the lectures, I used to see Brother Shaikh reciting the verses of Quran, and this gentleman who is young, handsome, reciting the ayats in Arabic and the translation, and his emotional connection with those ayats, when I used to look at it and see him crying, and it would make me cry too. Whenever I used to see him crying, I used to start crying as well, automatically. I can't explain why. And that is why I couldn't believe in the explanation of my cousin, what he was trying to tell me about Brother Mohammed Shaikh. And I phoned Brother Mohammed Shaikh finally in 1999. And when I phoned him in Pakistan, he picked up the phone and he said, how did I got his number? Who am I? What is the reference? I contacted him. Who's the reference? And I told him about my cousin brother. I started asking questions from him. I just asked my doubts, my queries, things which my cousin would say, and I just kept going, including my silly questions, which he tirelessly responded and I admire his patience. Although I desperately wanted to meet Brother Shaikh in person, I could not visit him in Karachi due to visa restrictions. But I never gave up calling him. I used to call him and talk to him. And this continued until 2004. For almost 5 years, I was in communication through the phone calls with him. One day, I requested him to come to Dubai so that I could meet him, and to which he agreed and he accepted my invitation. In 2004, I met him in person for the first time. And here, you have to understand, before meeting him, I had this personality of his because I was watching and seeing him in lectures, although I was talking to him on the phone, but still the motion, the physical movement, and a person in front of me was on the screen delivering the lectures. I used to think he's a very formal, suited, booted gentleman who is aggressive, emotional with ayats, and who would discuss ayats only and nothing else. But when I saw him, like I saw him in the airport, my heart started pounding. Literally, I was in tears. I was emotional, and I wouldn't stop crying. I hugged him and I kept crying. I wouldn't let go of him. And then, the thing was, he was just like another human being, dressed casually, no suits, no protocols. I was surprised. Then when we sat in the car, I started driving the car, and I was so emotionally overwhelmed that I kept driving the car in circles, crossing the same signal over and over a few times. I literally lost the way. My eyes couldn't believe actually the difference between the personality, what I have been seeing in front of me on the screen, and the person who's sitting right beside me. And he was sitting on the passenger seat, and I didn't even dare to look at him. I was so emotional. He was absolutely without any ego. He was just amazing. Amazing. Instantly he connected with me. I also touched his hand to assure that of myself, of the reality that I'm not dreaming. One strange thing my heart felt when I was in the company of Brother Shaikh, first time when I saw him and in his company, that there is some sort of a power surrounding him. I cannot thank Allah Ta'ala enough for giving me the opportunity to meet my Brother Shaikh. I cannot thank Allah enough. Since then, I never stopped visiting him and meeting him, let alone calling him. In 2005 and 2006, I met him again in Dubai, and finally in 2008, I saw the center for the first time, and that was another emotional experience. He would show me all the technical room, the auditorium, the reception, and the modifications he made, and I was excited too. It was beautiful to walk with him and see the center for the first time. My feelings for him and why I feel this way, Brother Mohammed Shaikh is a role model for me, and I mean it. He's a role model for me who follows the sunnah, the practice of all the role models mentioned in the Book of Allah, our messengers and prophets. And most certainly including Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he inspires me to follow those messengers. Since he is a man of an excellent moral character based on Quranic ayats, he strongly encourages and expects others to work on developing their moral characters and avail the benefits from his lectures, instead of merely gaining knowledge or becoming just like his disciple or praising him, which he detests. Another amazing thing I have noticed about Brother Mohammed Shaikh is that he instantaneously takes decisions and stand firmly behind his decisions, which are based obviously on the Quranic ayats. And I am surprised, in day-to-day life we all struggle to do things, to take a decision on small petty matters, on religious matters, and what to do, what not to do. And with him it's like no big deal. He just takes the stand and inspires others as well. There is one thing about these feelings for him which I have. These feelings are not just like that. There are so many lectures he has delivered and which has helped me. His teachings have educated me, the do's and don'ts as mentioned in the Quran, and benefited me in doing several corrections, and inspired me to keep on correcting in myself continuously till I die. His lecture category on how to govern yourself. Trust me, Brother Shaikh is the only genuine preacher of non-violence in this world. He's not a fanatic and he's not a person in disguise. He does not believe in violence at all. His teachings, his preachings are peaceful, and he inspires me to follow those peaceful preachings. His lectures on jihad, the striving, where he clarified what is jihad. His lecture on terrorism, Rahbaniya, where he explained the meaning of Rahbaniya and what it is, the killing, whether it's physical or psychological, and harab, the war. And he is not a person who supports warmongering at all. And instead of going after others, he focuses on, he inspires to focus on our self, soul, psyche. Look into ourselves instead of blaming others. I used to love music, and I used to, not only to the extent of just collecting the audio cassettes and albums of various artists or various musical themes, but to the extent of playing, synthesizing, remixing, playing tabla, playing keyboards, etc., etc. And his lecture on the devil, which I saw, what Al-Quran says about Iblis, devil, and Satan, Shaitan, in which I remember so amazing that the verses in Arabic used to scroll in front of the screen and along with the translation. That was so pure and impressive for me. That was beautiful. And then him explaining the verse 17 and ayah 64, وَاسْتَفْزِزْ مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ مِنْهُمْ بِصَوْتِكَ وَعَجْلِبْ عَلَيْهِمْ بِخَيْلِكَ وَرَجْلِكَ وَشَارِكُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. And you can excite or stimulate or misguide them with your voice. And the verse continued, but he started explaining the voice, the various musical instruments, the sound effects, and I just instantaneously connect to what he was saying. And then I repeated his explanation, and believe me, without any regret, with the help of Allah, I gave up all my music, all my habit of playing, and I gave away all the instruments which I had. This was only possible by the mercy of Allah. The lecture on husband and wife relationship, I would say, is a mercy for married couples. I had a very bad relationship with my wife. I mean, very bad relationship. People, they disguise their relationships and portray that everything is fine and good. But I had a bad relationship with my wife, and once I've started watching his lecture and on top of that consulting him and following his instructions, he has literally walked me through the process of building a good relationship with the help of Allah's ayats. With the help of Allah's ayats. And he also supported me throughout the process of my second marriage. And he has supported me. He was there with me as my true wali and protector. Not possible without his intervention. His lecture on hijab and obscenity has immensely helped me in improving and solidifying my hijab. I stopped loose talks, abusive language, flirting with women folks, and stopped going near obscenity by the mercy of Allah. How to manage money, the lecture on sadaqah, zakat, the charity and the justification and the explanation, and the riba, which means the increase, and discharging the practice of discharging sadaqah from 20% and 80% is the root for all the corrections. And sincerity with God was explained in the Quran and his lectures. I mean, if the whole world start following his lecture and his teaching on how to manage money, I for sure can tell you that we can eliminate the poverty from this world. And watch it for yourself. Have a look. Look at the lectures for yourself. There are so many things, I can keep going. My relationship with my boss was a horrible relationship. I would have, quit my job long time ago in ego. It was him who educated me to understand and realize the status of different men which Allah has given. That Allah has given different men, different status, and we have to live our life based on those status. And to register and understand is not possible. For me, his positive reinforcement of repeating the same thing over and over so that it gets through my head, that's how I was able to understand and see what's going on. And yeah, he's right. He's my boss. And there was a situation when my boss's mother, she passed away, and I discussed with Brother Mohammed Shaikh. He advised me to send him a big bouquet of flower with the ayats written on the card, and also send him an email, which I did. And believe me, the ayats which he told me, he advised to give my boss was related to the consolation of psychological hurts. And my boss was humbled, and it led to a very friendly relationship of mine. I would say only a God-conscious person could give such an advice. The lecture on parent and children relationship, since I lost my dad back in 1987, all I had was my dear mother, and I was totally ignorant, without a clue of being a good son to my mother, until Brother Shaikh educated me through the ayats and his practice. When I used to visit him with my mother and stay at his place, he showed me literally how to lower the wings and honor the parents, literally. By the way, I used to go and visit him with my family and my mother, and he would always welcome us with his big heart. And he showed me, demonstrated how to behave in front of my mother. Then later, when my dear mother was diagnosed with cancer, it was he who taught me how to take care of her and how my wives should take care of her as well. My eldest sister was a regular attendee of Brother Sheikh's lecture when she was diagnosed with brain cancer. It was him who took the charge and provided all the means within his capacity to make her last days painless. The one word to describe Brother Mohammed Shaikh is that he is my true spiritual brother, in a true sense. I would like to recite a dua of Sulaiman alayhi salam, Surah An-Naml 27 and verse 19. وَقَالَ رَبِّي أَوْزِعْنِي أَنْ أَشْكُرَ نِعْمَتَكَ الَّتِي أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيَّ وَعَلَى وَالِدَيَّ وَأَنْ أَعْمَلَ صَالِحًا تَرْضَاهُ وَادْخِلْنِي بِرَحْمَتِكَ فِي عِبَادِكَ الصَّالِحِينَ. And he said, my Lord, grant me the power and ability that I may be grateful for your favors which you have bestowed upon me and my parents, and that I may do corrections that will please you, and admit me with your mercy among the servants who correct. Ameen.